So when it comes to Hollywood movies, there tends to be a certain divide between audiences. Now, there's usually an audience that really loves these kind of artistic films, these artistic Hollywood films that come out. And there usually are the critics, the reviewers, the cinemaphiles that watch these movies and seem to find a meaning in anything that they watch. And then there's the more streamlined mainstream audience that sees these movies and either they generally like them or they kind of think it's okay or just don't get it at all. And there's these directors who make these movies who try to really dig deep into a certain idea or a certain uh, I don't know subject or theme that they present through their movies that for the most part can be lost on audiences. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is an artistic movie for sure. It's seems to be some kind of passion project by Quentin Tarantino, a homage to not only the movies that came out in the 1960s and the TV shows, but also the real life historical figures of the time and the Hollywood stars of the time and just the entire era as a whole. So I can't deny its artistic value and I can't deny its artistic, I guess, what it's trying to go for. I don't know what the word would be. And I love that he goes for it. I love that Quentin Tarantino, for all the gore and things that he says that people criticize him for all the things that he does or he films. I honestly value a lot of his films, and they're some of my favorites of all time. But for this movie, this is the first time I have felt that I'm in the latter half of the audience, the mainstream audience that just didn't get it. I just didn't get this movie, to put it in simple words. I didn't get this movie, and I don't know why others see in this movie. I do understand that there's a lot in the history and the historical context that you have to know to kind of really help you understand this movie. So for backstory's sake, I understand that this movie takes place during the Charles Manson murders. So it takes place in the Charles Manson murder of Sharon Tate, wife of Roman Polanski, and the other people that were in there. But Sharon Tate was the biggest one. And I understand what Tarantino was trying to do and say, or at least how to revise history as he usually does, like he did in Inglourious Bastards or in Django. But it just seemed like a lot that you can't see. I think the problem with what Quentin Tarantino had with this movie was that it was too much of a cinemaphile's movie, too much of a movie for mainstream audiences to handle. I guess without knowing things from before. So anyone who doesn't know the historical context, or at least doesn't understand some of the references, may not get this movie and may not get anything out of this movie. It seems to be definitely a movie that you have to know everything from the background before you can get into it, because then you know what's happening. If you go in there blind, you're not going to understand this movie. And so I'm feeling a bit mixed on this movie. I think maybe because I went in blind, maybe because I went not knowing anything entirely. I knew about the Manson murders, but I didn't know the majority of the references. I was just essentially bored throughout the movie because not much was happening. It's based on actors' lives, or at least actors' experiences. And aside from maybe the last 20 minutes of the movie, there wasn't much for a general audience to gravitate towards or to kind of follow. And in the end, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood really is a dividing film. It may not seem it from online because there's a lot, everything you'll see from our viewers will be, this movie is great, this movie is amazing, but I don't know how much of that is genuine reaction to the movie or just because it's an artistic film that people feel the need to say that they enjoyed it. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, I just don't know how to feel about it. So I guess my final review would be this. If you're a Quentin Tarantino fan, see the movie, and before you do, though, read upon the subject. Because there's a lot of backstory that you're going to need to know and context that you're going to need to know before you watch this movie. If you are not a Quentin Tarantino fan or don't know anything about the backstory of this, don't watch this movie yet. Right, thank